Good afternoon. I'm Another View producer, Lisa Godley, sitting in for Barbara Ham-Lee. For the past year and a half, WHRO-TV and WHRV-FM have been bringing you stories about veterans from our community who are transitioning from military service to civilian life. And as part of our Veterans Coming Home initiative, today on Another View, we will delve into one of the challenges so many veterans face once they're separated from service, the struggle to find work. Join me and my guests, Sharaya Martin and Willard Smitty Smith, as we discuss the disproportionate number of African American veterans who are unemployed. Another View is next, right after this news from NPR.
Discussing today's topics from an African American perspective, this is Another View.
Good afternoon. I'm Another View producer, Lisa Godley, sitting in for the always engaging Barbara Ham-Lee. Barbara is wearing one of her many other hats today, which subsequently pulled her away from the studio, but as always, I'm going to do my best to make her proud. During the past 19 months, WHRO has participated in the Veterans Coming Home initiative, allowing us to take a closer look at some of the challenges impacting our veterans as they transition from active duty to civilian life. But most importantly, it gives us a way to connect veterans with the many services that are out there, services to help make their transition a little easier. In fact, next Saturday, right down the hall in our WHRO television studio, we'll be conducting a Veterans Town Hall. Yours truly will serve as host and will introduce viewers to some of the veterans featured in our award-winning Veterans Coming Home video series. Of the veterans featured, they will be joined by experts from the community who can address some of the challenges veterans face and guide them toward available services. The town hall will air on WHRO in two parts, the first one December 7th and the second part on December 14th. In fact, both of our guests joining me in the studio right now are veterans, and they will be featured panelists at next Saturday's Veterans Town Hall. I'd like to welcome to Another View Sharaya Martin, a former Marine and recent Old Dominion University graduate. Sharaya, or Ray, welcome.
Thank you.
Also in the studio, Willard Smitty Smith, the man who for the past 25 years has run VetsHouse in Virginia Beach, helping homeless veterans begin again with a place to live and employment. Welcome, Smitty.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All righty. Today, we are going to address some of the challenges facing veterans as they reenter the workforce and what's out there to help, particularly African American veterans who are more than twice as likely to be unemployed for a longer period of time. Now, if you're a veteran who's transitioning into the workforce and would like to share your story, or if you've recently employed a veteran and would like to talk about that experience, give us a call at 440-2665 or 1-800-940-2240. We would love to hear from you. But before we delve into today's topic, earlier this morning I had a chance to speak to Virginia's highest elected official, Governor Terry McAuliffe, about veterans and his latest initiative to keep guns out of dangerous hands.
I'll be honest with you, at the end of my rope, I'm sick and tired of politicians talking about doing something about safe gun restrictions. So enough talk, it's time to take action. So yesterday I did Executive Order number 50. We have had too many senseless killings in the country. Here in Virginia, we just went through the horrible tragedy, Allison Parker, that occurred the other day, and Adam Ward. The parents were with me yesterday. The Parker family, Andy Parker and Barbara, were with me yesterday. Common sense. Yesterday, I signed an executive order banning weapons from any state office building. Common sense. These areas should be gun-free. They should be safe. People want to come into their state government offices and DMV and so forth and not have to see someone carrying a firearm. Obviously, law enforcement will be there, military entitled to do it. So, we're just trying to stop the senseless killings. Listen, I'm a gun owner. I own 3 guns. I went through a background check. It took, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Everybody who purchases a firearm should go through a quick background check. I'm just trying to have some common sense restrictions. I've asked for a task force that the Attorney General and my Secretary of Public Safety are in charge of. Number one, we have a lot of state and federal laws. These laws are not enforced today. They're very lax. I want enforcement. If you have illegally purchased a gun and possess a gun illegally in Virginia, I want to be clear. We are coming after you. We are going to prosecute you. I want to stop domestic abusers, stalkers from possessing firearms. Today in Virginia, you get a protective order. You can't purchase a firearm. But guess what, Lisa? If you own a gun, you can keep it. Now, where's the logic behind that? So we now want to work with all the prosecutors and the judges. If you have a protective order and that says you cannot purchase a gun, in addition, if you have a gun, you have to hand it in during the time of that protective order. I established a tip line. If you know of someone who has a gun, purchased it, or owns it illegally, financial reward for the conviction of an individual. Just common sense things. My job as governor is to keep our community safe, plain and simple. 85% of Americans support background checks. You can't, Lisa, get 85% of Americans to agree on anything. Right. But they do agree that anyone who purchases a firearm. I just took my sons hunting. I was actually down on the Eastern Shore last weekend. We were dove hunting. Took my two boys. On the way back, we stopped at a Buffalo Wild Wing to watch some football. My son, 23, he's a Marine, ordered a beer. He had to put his license out to get that beer. Yet my son doesn't have to put his license out to buy a firearm. It just doesn't make sense. So common sense. I'm trying to lead on this issue. I'm trying to do the right thing to keep our community safe. And background checks won't save all the lives, but if they save 2, 3, 4, we just need to take steps that move us in the right direction.
Okay, Governor, what kind of pushback are you anticipating, especially from the private sellers?
Honestly, Lisa, I don't worry about pushback. I didn't run for governor. I'm not here to, as I say, to play small ball. I'm here to be a governor, to be a problem solver, to get things done. I don't ever worry about pushback. I do what I think is right. When I ran for governor, I leaned in very heavily on this issue. I talked about it every day. I told women I'd be a brick wall to protect their rights. And as you know, my new Board of Health appointees, we just overturned that very onerous regulation on the women's health clinics to make them comply with hospital codes. The deal was to shut down women's health clinics. We just overturned that. So we've saved the women's health clinics. I told members of the LGBT community, open and welcoming to everybody. I have focused on jobs, economic development by making Virginia open and welcoming to everybody. I just announced my 477th economic development project. We have brought $8 billion into the Commonwealth in economic development deals since I've been governor. I've shattered every record. That's nearly double any governor of Virginia history. Why? Because when I travel around, Virginia is the safest place. We got low taxes. We're business friendly. It's a great place to raise a family. Great quality of education. So for me, that's what I have to do every day. So, I don't sit around and worry about hand wringers and naysayers. That's not my personality. I go, I get it done.
Okay, I'm going to ask you something because tracing guns, as I was reading your initiative, I saw tracing guns used in crimes, and maybe I watched too many crime shows, but I always thought that was standard procedure to find out who owned a gun before.
Yeah, and that's something. So I've instructed state police with the E-Trace system, which we have not done what we need to do. Most states have not done it. We are now, every gun that is involved in the commission of a crime will be traced back to its origin through the E-Trace system, and we'll put more funding in or do whatever we need to do that. But that wasn't done, and that's part of the executive order that I signed yesterday on the E-Trace system. This is common sense. We've got the best state in America. Nobody can compete with us, but we cannot allow folks to harm our individuals, our community members, our families. We can't have anyone harm our reputation. I'm out selling Virginia every day. I travel the globe. I was China twice, and Japan, and Korea, and 7 European nations. I am out hustling business to come back to the Commonwealth of Virginia. I can do that because, as I say, our safe communities. That was a tragedy that we had when 2 young journalists were doing their job and were gunned down at Smith Mountain Lake, Virginia. That was a tragedy. And I had to call the parents, and I've consoled the parents since then. I hope I'm the last governor that has to go through that process, because I got to tell you, it's devastating for families and it's devastating for communities. To stand there yesterday with Andy and Barbara Parker, who lost their adorable, beautiful, smart, intelligent Allison Parker, who was a newscaster, as you know, on WDBJ down in Roanoke. As I said yesterday at the press conference, as a parent of 5 children, I don't know if you can get out of bed the next day or ever again. Your life will never be the same. The idea that you have to bury one of your own children, there is nothing ever that could compare with that. And it's just hard to stand there. And so, you know what, Lisa, we've got to do everything we possibly can to prevent it.
Yeah, I think people would be hard-pressed to say they wouldn't want to live in a safer Virginia, that's for sure.
Right. And all I'm doing, and people on the other side say we're taking away, we're not. If you're a law-abiding citizen, you can purchase a gun. There's no one's quibbling with that. What I'm trying to go after those folks who should not have a gun, violent offenders, domestic abusers, stalkers have committed violent crimes, should not possess a firearm, those that have issues with mental illness. Those are the folks that should not possess a firearm. That's all we're dealing with. Take all the political rhetoric and petty partisan games out of this discussion. At the end of the day, if you're a legal, law-abiding citizen, you have no problem today going in buying as many firearms as you want. You could do that today. But we are going to stop you if you are going and buying those firearms and you're a straw purchaser and you're handing them to someone who then does go commit a crime, because to me, you're as culpable as the person who pulled the trigger.
Going to shift gears on you just a little bit. We're about to do a Veterans Town Hall here next Saturday, and I want to know what your administration's commitment is to the veterans who call Hampton Roads home.
Well, what I've consistently said since I ran and have served as governor, my top priority is veterans. I've said, in fact, I said at the press conference yesterday, my top priority in my budget is going to be K through 12 and veterans. We've pushed a lot of legislation through the military child identifier. I've put resources behind our veterans, new credentialing process to make it easier when you come out of active duty and you move right into the veteran status, that we have a credential, you get credit for your military service, we can move you right into a job. We're promoting our V3, Virginia Values Veterans Program. I called for the hiring of 10,000 veterans. We just went over 11,000 veteran hired in our V3 program, 900 days earlier than I thought we would, so I've just doubled it to 20,000. We have 800,000 veterans in Virginia, more veterans per capita than any state, more female veterans than any state, more veterans under the age of 25 than any other state. That is a huge honor, but with that honor comes responsibility. And I'll have a major announcement on Veterans Day, but I tell you this, we are, in my administration, we're doing everything that we can to help our veterans. We just authorized 2 new health centers for our veterans, one in Northern Virginia and one down in your region. The VA, to me, simply cannot get their job done. They can't do it in an effective manner. So we're going to step in and provide health services for some of our veterans. So when there's a gap on service, we want to step in and fill that void, because I got to tell you, as governor, I talk about workforce development every single day, filling that pipeline of jobs. There is no better worker than a veteran, highly disciplined, highly motivated. So when they get out of active duty, I want them to stay here in the greatest state in the United States of America. Virginia is for lovers, and Virginia loves their veterans.
Well, thank you so much.
And let me just say one last thing, if I could, Lisa. This is important.
Okay.
We have elections in 2 weeks.
Yes.
And you need to vote. 2/3 of Virginians stayed home last year when we had our entire congressional delegation. Our U.S. Senator Mark Warner was on the ballot, and 2/3 of Virginians did not vote. We have the entire General Assembly up, the folks who craft the laws that you live by each and every day. And it's always a low turnout because it's an off year. We need to show everybody here in Virginia that we are the leaders in democracy. We're the birthplace of it here in America, but we cannot have the voter apathy that we've had last year. People fought and died for the right to vote in this great country, and we here in Virginia need to lead the way, and we need to do our part. You can actually go to the Virginia Elections website. You can now electronically sign up for absentee. This is a simple process. Do the right thing. If you don't vote, you've got no right to complain.
Thank you so much, Governor McCullough. We appreciate your time today. Bye-bye. Yes, we all need to get out and vote. Now, the governor mentioned programs in place to help veterans, which I know for so many is good news. Now, Sharaya, you graduated in May and have been hitting the pavement on a job quest. Tell me a little bit about what that's been like for you.
It's been very hard. It's been very discouraging at times because I did work very hard to get my bachelor's in psychology with a minor in human services from ODU. And being a veteran, I just thought that it would be easy because that's how they make it seem. You know, being a veteran, once you get out here, these companies, they want you. You're at the top of the list, especially for government jobs. There's veterans preference where you're supposed to be at the top of the list and everything is great. That hasn't been the case. I've applied to I don't know how many jobs, putting my resume in, and I'm very much qualified for every last job that I applied to, but yet nothing. Rejection after rejection. So it's been discouraging. As far as government jobs, you submit your resume and there's a computer system. And if you don't have the exact words they're looking for in their resume, the key words, then your resume is spit back out and you're rejected. before a actual human being can actually look at it, which is crazy because that's disqualifying a lot of qualified veterans, a lot of qualified people in general. So how am I a veteran at the top of the list and is veteran preference, but I can't even make it past a computer system? So that's always been crazy to me. And a lot of these jobs are asking for a lot. I have a degree. That's supposed to be something that allows you to get a job. You work hard, whether you pay for your degree or you have scholarships or whatever, you work hard to get this degree and you can't even find a job. So it's been very trying.
Smitty.
Yes.
We make up actually a pretty small percentage of the military, and yet our numbers are double every other racial groups when it comes to unemployment. Are we not taking advantage of programs? Sharaya says she's looking at some of the programs and she's still having issues. What do you think?
In some cases, we don't know that there are various programs out there that's available to us. Number two, young lady, don't misunderstand what I'm going to say. Most employers are looking for people with experience. So when you and others like you, even myself, when I retired, you go out there and you present a resume, and the first thing they're going to ask, well, do you have any experience in the arena that you're trying to get into? So if you have a degree in basket weaving 101 and you don't have any experience, they're going to kind of back up from you. And it's hard. It is hard for us. We spent our time in the military, and as you said, we should be at the top of the hiring list, so to speak. But one of the things, that, as I indicated just a minute ago, was if we don't have experience, they're not going to hire us. I have been doing the job that I do now for 25 years, and I have ladies and guys in my program who are looking for employment, and I deal with a multitude of employers out here. Experience. Do you have experience? No, they don't. Do they have a clear record? That there are certain barriers, a lot of barriers out there. People involved in my program, whether they're in recovery, whether they have a valid driver's license, whether they have a criminal record or not. Those barriers kind of keeps a lot of our guys and ladies from being hired, Lisa. Military folk, and I'm going to speak for myself, okay? When I came back from Vietnam, I was an alcoholic, and I was served as an alcoholic. I was an alcoholic for about 5 years after I was back. Once I retired out of the military, I still had that alcoholic stigma behind me, and I'd go looking for a doggone job, and I'm blowing booze in this guy's face, or the lady's face, and quite naturally, that's a turn off to those folks who were in a position to hire me. We're talking about minorities not being able to become gainfully employed. A lot of times, we as minorities, we were in jobs in the military that we can't do on the outside. We'll just say run a boat up and down the river, artilleryman, a signalman, and several other arenas out there that we did in the military that you can't do on the outside. My thing is, and we discussed this a few months ago, the military has a TAP program, Transitional Assistance Program, but they only get that for 1 week, and that's just prior to them being released from active duty. There should be an arena whereby, I'm trying to say this correctly, whereby the military should go out on the outside, glean information, and give it to the sailors or soldiers or airmen or whatever they may be a month or two prior to them being released from active duty so they can prepare themselves to go out and meet the challenges of getting a new job or getting a job. 1 week, in my opinion, is not enough time. You take a guy who's worn a uniform for 10 years, sure, he knows how to dress. He or she knows how to dress. They know how to answer certain questions. But answering those questions in the military is a lot different than answering to an employer on the outside. Dressing in the military is a lot different than dressing for success on the outside. So we need to not wait for the last week before these guys and ladies get out. We need to go at least 2 months prior to these guys and ladies getting out. Start getting those folks ready for separation. Start getting them ready for the job market. It takes a long time to try to get somebody ready for the job market. Looking for a job itself is a job.
I have a person on the phone, Chris Cadle, who's working. He's a client partner with Bradley Morris, and they reach out to companies to try and find jobs for vets. Chris?
Yes. Thanks, Lisa.
Tell me a little bit about what you're looking for and how you present that to employers when you're trying to encourage them to hire veterans.
Sure, absolutely, and thanks for asking me to join. And I can speak to it from two perspectives, Lisa. So I'm a veteran. I'm a Navy officer that transitioned a few years ago, and then I've been in this position where I'm helping companies pursue veterans for employment. Now, we're a headhunter, so I'll kind of put that in perspective. What that means is that clients are paying us to find them a particular skill set that they're looking for. So there's a fee, and there's a little bit of a premium in terms of the way that we handle our business. That said, a big part of my job is convincing employers that, frankly, they should pay us a fee for the privilege of hiring, the quality of candidates that we present. So what does that mean in terms of the value prop, or what we're telling employers that we bring to the table? For the most part, the space that we focus on in terms of that fee business is going to be military officers from bringing a leadership intangibles type of experience, as well as technicians, folks that have very strong troubleshooting skill sets. Technicians is easy, like Mr. Smith said. Mr. Smith, can I call you Smitty, or is that a term that's limited to Lisa?
Call me Smitty. I prefer that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. So as Smitty said, there's certain skill sets that translate extremely well into the private sector. Being a technician is a great example of that to some extent, because, as you hear, with a big focus on STEM degrees and trade schools and such, there really is a shortage of troubleshooters. They can get in there and fix equipment. What we fix in the military is very different from what's fixed in the civilian world. So I help companies understand what profiles in the service will translate well from a technical standpoint into, their business. On the leadership side of the house, when we look at, more senior technicians, senior non-commissioned officers, and then commissioned officers, it really comes down to the intangibles. And it's about helping companies understand, what kind of intangible leadership skill sets these folks are bringing to the table. And that's not exclusive to the officer community. That in the military, we see leadership opportunities early on. So I'm helping companies understand what folks can bring to the table, helping me understand what their requirements are, and then at the end of the day, matching those skill sets up along with my team here at Bradley Morris to help them onboard and get the most from that pool of talent that's coming out of the service.
Okay, hang on for just a second, Chris. If you're just joining us, we're talking about veterans and unemployment and the alarmingly high number of African-American veterans who are looking for work. If you're transitioning into the workforce and would like to share your story, or if you've recently employed a veteran and would like to talk about that experience, give us a call at 440-2265 or 1-800 940-2240. We have a call. Sean from Hampton. Thank you for calling Another View. Sean?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
That's good. My name's Edward Sean Robinson. I'm a fourth-year undergrad student at Hampton University, majoring in criminal justice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an Army veteran who served in Operation Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom. And right now I'm serving the city of Hampton as a commissioner, the vice chair commissioner of the Hampton Clean City Commission. And I honorably discharged from the Army Infantry April 3rd, 2012. And since then, I haven't really had much trouble seeking employment. The thing that I've noticed is that outside of the civil employment preference that we received, I was able to immediately use my post 9/11 GI Bill in order to attend Hampton University, and I was able to let people know that I was a veteran, and that then put me in leadership positions on campus. Through my military resume, the campus positions that I had, I was able to get my foot in the door as an intern 2 summers ago with the City of Hampton Marketing Department, and that then, based on the work ethic and the motivation, professionalism that they saw in the marketing department, I was then able to apply to be a commissioner for the Hampton Clean City Commission, and that then held me to a much higher aspiration of running for city council eventually. So all I'm saying is that I feel as though we have no trouble becoming employed. The sky is the limit, and people they seek us out. I actually found out that a lot of employers receive some sort of compensation for retaining us, for hiring us and seeking us out. Not only do we prove ourselves to be an asset to them professionally, but we also have the professionalism, and they receive compensation as well.
Well, Sean, let me ask you something. Why do you think the numbers are so high as far as African-American veterans who are unemployed? You seem to have had no problem, but why do you think the numbers
I think that people discharge from the military and they suffer from post-traumatic stress, or they're so ready to become a civilian that they don't actually utilize the service and go through all of the classes that they make you do when you're preparing to discharge. I know that when I was out of service, it was mandatory that I attended these classes about my disability benefits and about transitioning to be a civilian. However, a lot of people, whether it be honorable or dishonorable discharge, get out and they're just so happy to have their freedom that I don't think that they actually realize, wow, you have full access to a plethora of benefits that will propel you. And the first thing I did, like I said, was I utilized my post 9/11, and that took my income from $2,100 a month to $4,100 a month, a little over $4,100 a month, as soon as I discharged and began going to school. So, and that being in school itself opened a whole bunch of other opportunities for me to become employed.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sean. We appreciate you calling. Smitty, you're dealing with people that didn't necessarily go the college route, and you go out and you find work for them. How do you present that to employers when you're trying to find jobs for them?
Within the last, I would say, 7 or 8 years, there's been a crunch on to hire veterans. I just get in my little F-150 and I just go knock on doors. As a matter of fact, I knocked on a company's door 2 weeks ago to try to get employment, and this was with a pest control company. I spoke to the owner, and he assured me that he would start an apprenticeship program in March for 2 of my guys. And like I say, can you put that in writing for me? I said, sure. I knew of him. So he put in writing for me, and he's going to bring on 2 people for me. Matter of fact, don't want to throw him a bone, but it's called Hugabug, and he's a real nice guy. People will hire veterans if they present themselves. When I say if the veteran presents himself in a manner whereby he's kind of humble or she's kind of humble, a lot of times people seem to think that they are entitled to become gainfully employed because they are a veteran. One of the things that we need to do is just forget about that entitlement. You might be entitled to do X, Y, Z thing, but on the same token, you got to be able to sell yourself to these prospective employers.
Smitty, can I jump in there with you on that?
Mm-hmm.
This is Chris Tatel.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'll tell you, in my line of business, I can 100% completely agree with you. You know, I think we've got this, and as a veteran, right? And I can only speak for myself, but I think this whole holding of veterans up on a pedestal, you know, while I appreciate, you know, the consideration from everybody that didn't serve and whatnot, has kind of, you know, become a little bit of an issue in terms of that sense of entitlement to where you're absolutely right. You know, one of the things that you said that I completely agree with, you got to start it early, and you got to do it on your own. In the military, you know, we might be operationally experts in our own specific areas, but administratively we rely on big Army or big Navy or somebody else to take care of a lot of stuff for us. And we don't have that individual initiative to go out and take care of some of these things sometimes. That's what I see. Even from some of the top people that are transitioning out of the service, they haven't put that time in up front to prepare. And, you know, it takes months to get your resume right sometimes.
It does.
It takes a lot of effort to get, you know, that momentum going before you can get out there and jump in the workforce. So I completely agree with you. There's a lot of initiative that goes along with finding gainful employment, and it's individual preparation that's required there.
It is that. You know, like I say, I have 26 people in my program, and I have right now 10 people who are unemployed. And believe you me, if they don't get a job and they're trying to take care of themselves while they're in our program, they suffer as well as our program suffers. And,
right.
I tell you, I'm out there every day, my friend, trying to knock on doors.
Right.
So we can get these ladies and gents gainfully employed.
I'll give you one quick example. I had a sailor of mine, so I'm a reservist. I run a small boat unit, riverine unit. Sailor of mine that is just graduating from high school, from college in December, and she's looking for employment as a paralegal. She's working on a resume, and she had the initiative to send me the resume and have me work on it. I probably put 3 hours of work into it on the flight the other day, but I focused it all on the intangibles. You know, what motivated her to be successful in the different roles that she's been in, whether they be working at a movie theater or leading sailors in dangerous operations on ships. Mm-hmm. And it's really those intangibles of a positive outlook, good procedural compliance, and a great attitude that ultimately help people get employment, whether they're veterans or not, and whether or not their previous skill sets translate into the role. You know, that enthusiasm is going to get you employed. And that's something that we preach to all of our candidates, regardless of how qualified or not qualified they are for a position.
Thank you so much, Chris. I want to take a call. David from Newport News. Hi, David. Thanks for calling Another View.
Hi, and thank you for taking my call, and thank you for having this program, because as I've been listening, it's definitely been very beneficial to me. A little bit about me: I'm transitioning. I actually retire within the next about 45 days. After 22 years service, I have a bachelor's degree in computer science from Tuskegee University, a master's degree from Baylor University in healthcare administration, and in the majority of my time in the military, I've done healthcare administration, especially the last 10 years. Been healthcare administrative in nature. For the last about 2.5 months, I've done gone online, submitted applications. I think I have a spreadsheet that I've put together, and I have about 72 jobs that I've applied to with no referrals, no callbacks or anything. And I've gone to the executive transition assistance program for the week long, and I agree. It definitely 1 week is definitely not enough. And at least in my case, I was able to focus in on the class where some of my classmates were still bouncing between their jobs while they were inside the program itself. I'm kind of just at a loss as to where to go from here. I've had several people look over my resume. I've got lots of experience. I've managed organizations with $64 million budget, have sections that had over 175 people that I've overseen and been very successful. But between translating that in terms that someone in the civilian sector can understand, to include some of those intangibles as one of your guests has mentioned, and then trying to keep it compressed, because I keep hearing civilian organizations only really want maybe 2 pages when they really maybe only want 1 page. It's hard to put 22 years of experience into 1 page, so to at least catch someone's eye. So any advice, any assistance that any of your guests can provide me and anyone else in my situation, I greatly appreciate.
Okay. Chris, any thoughts?
That's what I was.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, the work that Smitty's doing is the same work that I'm doing. And it's the same work that any veteran or, frankly, any job seeker can do on their own. When I started my job, I was smiling and dialing, calling high-level folks at manufacturing companies and service providers and other companies in the U.S. that are in need of talent and who may, from my opinion, benefit from hiring the types of folks that I represent. Smitty's doing the same thing. Smitty's knocking on doors and saying, hey, I've got this great pool of folks that are looking for employment. Let's see if we can't, make something work out for both parties. At the end of the day, it's that engagement that gets you kind of the opportunity. Resumes, people put a lot of faith in resumes, and I see them all the time, 3-4 page resumes that nobody's ever going to read. At the end of the day, it's that engagement. What I always recommend, if I have somebody that I'm talking to that I can't help within the context of my service just looking for employment, I tell them to do the same thing that I do, and the same thing that Smitty's doing. Engage. Call the hiring managers. Skip HR if you can. HR is not going to be happy about it, but if the hiring manager likes you, it doesn't matter. Call companies and try to talk directly with people that are going to be decision makers on that position. A great example, LinkedIn is such a huge tool right now, and I think they allow veterans special access for, I think, up to a year, where you can do some pretty intrusive searches and find folks pretty well. Directly call the people that are going to be the hiring managers for those roles, and be prepared to talk with them and provide some information. Hey, I noticed this is what you're looking for. These are the skill sets that I have. When you have some time, I'd love to chat with you and see if there'd be an opportunity for me to be a value to your team, or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, if you count too much on your resume, then you're counting on a very passive approach to the job hunt, even if you're sending that resume out.
Chris,
to hundreds of places.
Chris, this is
yes, sir.
This is Smitty. I'd like to be able to talk with you. Would you mind if Lisa gave me your phone number?
By all means, no. I'm with Bradley Morris. We're recruiting service. I can give you my phone number on the air. That's fine. It's 757-965-5763. That's my direct line on my desk.
You might get some other calls.
I might. That's the risk I'm willing to take.
Okay. Sharaya, what's your perspective on some of the things that you're hearing?
The first thing I want to talk about is the whole experience thing. That is very obvious. You need experience to get the job or be even considered for the job that you want. However, the problem is when you do have experience, like one of the callers was saying, I myself, the jobs I applied to, I had the experience, and it's not just from the military, it's outside the military. So it is frustrating when you do have experience and you're still not getting calls back. So that's a problem, and that seems to be a problem no one can solve, and as far as the one caller who said he didn't have a problem, that's not everyone's story. It also depends on the job you had in the military and what your experience is now. I know myself, job searching, I see a lot of engineers, I see a lot of drivers, I see a lot of those things, but if that's not your realm, if that's not your field, then it's not so easy. So the job that you had in the military, if you had a job that's very easy to get, that everyone's looking for, of course you're smooth sailing. Of course it's very easy for you to get out here and find a job and be on your way, but that's not everyone's case. So I think it definitely depends on your skill set of what you have and what you went to school for. And I myself went to school for psychology. That's very hard. You would think that it's easy since everyone seems to major in psychology and there's a whole bunch of jobs, but it's not easy. It's very competitive. No matter your experience or not, it's very competitive. So I think that that's another issue. And as far as entitlement, that is an issue. You know, they kind of do put veterans on a pedestal and you do feel entitlement. But at the same time, I don't think that's a huge issue. I feel like you are a veteran. These jobs and these companies have veteran programs, have veteran preference. You should be able to take advantage of that. You know, you served your time. You are a veteran. Plus the experience that you gain while you're in the military. There should be no reason why you shouldn't be able to take advantage of that and find a job. So I think a lot of these things are a major problem, and I experienced that as well. You know, I do have the experience, and I am a veteran, and I'm applying to these places who are supposed to help me, and they don't. And just one last thing, as far as the TAPS program, I do agree that it needs to be longer because I got out in 2011, and that week, people don't pay attention. You know, you're there, they, help you transition to the civilian world with your resume as far as putting it in civilian terms. But no one's really paying attention. You're kind of, getting everything all at once. That's not going to help you. I think the military, it is the military's responsibility as well as the person's responsibility to take advantage of the resources. But how can you take advantage of resources that aren't there until you're about to get out? So I think that's a very big problem that we need to address that will help veterans, be able to take advantage of more jobs.
Wonderful. I want to take another call. Dino is calling us from Germany. Dino, thank you for calling Another View.
Good afternoon. Good evening for me. Good afternoon. Good day for you guys. I'm retired in 2014 after 25 years in the military. And the reason I call is because the lady that she was trying to get a job because she was talking about no experience or whatnot. In my case, I haven't got a job yet. I have applied in federal government. I have applied everywhere. And I'm a Latino, and along with all my friends, retirees, we haven't found anything. Yes, they do. I do have a couple of interviews, and they promised that they're going to call me back, and then they call me. And I find out that if you don't have a contact inside the system, you will not get a job. Mm-hmm. So you could have experience or not. It depends on the person who you know inside. That's the bottom line. Before I joined the military, I used to work for Maryland Spear Fenner in Washington, in 570 Washington Street, New York City. That's the reason I ended up in the Army, which I love it. I would do it all over again if I have to. I was working in proxy department in Maryland for 8 years. Before that, I was working for the export and import company with my father. Do I have the experience in export and import? Yes, I do. It's on my resume. I do put that I was a clerk to download it like that in the proxy department working with the legals and the shareholders and all that stuff. And I still don't get a job. I'm here in Germany because my daughter got accepted in a school, and I moved over here hoping to get a job working on both. If you don't know anybody, you will never see a job. I'm helping fellow veterans over here to do resume, to do the VA stuff. And me and my retired partner, he's a master sergeant as well. He owns a little business here, which we work on it here off and on and doing side job for the Germans. But if we're trying to get a job for in the military or any job in the United States, whether in Miami, I apply in Miami, Florida, in the 50 states, I'm willing to relocate. I'm relocating here, and I haven't get a hit yet. The headhunter, like the guy was there, he's a headhunter. When I used to live in New York, there was a company that you just go over there and they hire you and you work for them for X amount of time. And the headhunters right now, I don't think they're doing an accurate job. Maybe they're just doing it for the money. Maybe, I don't know. The top system, yes, the people are not qualified to help veterans to help them to get a job.
Okay. Dino, thank you so much for calling us all the way from Germany and for sharing your story with us. I want to try to get in some more calls before we... Smitty, quickly.
This is just a quickie.
Okay.
A lot of veterans who are out there looking for employment, I have one slight suggestion. If you don't belong to the American Legion, or Disabled American Veterans, or VFW, any of these other paramilitary organizations, you need to join those organizations and start networking. The old saying is if you need some, tell a vet. Another vet will help another vet. So if you join those organizations and attend their meetings, meet some other folk. You never can tell. You might be able to meet their prospective employer.
Okay. All righty. Janet is joining us from Virginia Beach. Janet, thank you for calling Another View.
Thank you. I wanted to be as brief as possible. I was in the Navy for 6 years before I had to get out on disability. My husband was also in the Navy, and they downsized, and his contract got canceled. What people don't address is the depression that comes with separating from the military. I've been in groups of 25 and 50 people where they would all say the same things, that I'm unemployed, I'm not working in my field, I have to work for free, which is what people have to do to gain the experience after getting these degrees that they can't get jobs with just yet. And working for free, although gaining experience, it's a depressant because you don't have the type of money or the type of resources that you used to have. You can't help yourself and you can't help people. So this is if you didn't have PTSD before, you definitely have it now because it's difficult out here. And I'm happy that the other caller expressed that the stars aligned up for him and that he was able to find employment. But even people with GI Bills who have utilized all their services are finding themselves depressed because now they have to work for free or just continue to look for work in order to gain experience. And that's all I wanted to say. Thank you so much for taking my call.
That's one of the things we're going to be addressing also at next Saturday's town hall. We're going to be looking at some of the things people go through mentally.
I just wanted to say something real quick. As far as the education aspect, I know that, employers are looking for skills, but I would like to meet somebody who doesn't have a degree and it was smooth sailing finding a job. You do have to have the skill set. That's very obvious. However, in order to be even looked at, your skill set to be looked at, it's almost impossible if you don't have a degree. So, you're out here trying to get whatever piece of education you can and still nothing. So I think that although, you don't want to put too much burden on, I have to get a degree. In today's society, it's almost necessary. It's almost impossible to find something without it. So,
okay, we have a little less than 2 minutes, and I want to give our guest an opportunity to say something to the vets that are out there that are listening, those that are seeking employment, and for employers who are looking to hire veterans. Chris, are you still with us?
I am.
Okay, I'm going to toss it to you first. What would you like to veterans that are out there to know?
I agree. Smith, you and I are 100% on the same page on a lot of these things. Networking is incredibly important. I think when we look at, kind of the disparity between unemployment, when we look at African Americans and whatnot, a part of it comes down to that networking piece. Who do you know? Or who knows you? And at the end of the day, if you didn't come into the military with a strong network, you're not coming out of the military with a strong network of folks, you need to create that network. That's what I do, is help people. I make introductions, essentially. If you're not in a position to use a resource like us, because not all skill sets align to what we can do, create your own network. Reach out. Do the same thing that I do. If I leave 100 voicemails, I'm happy if I get two calls back. And I'm a professional. This is what I do. So if I would recommend in the job hunt, network. Get out there, get face-to-face with employers, and that's how you're going to win the job, not by making the most amazing resume possible.
Thank you so much, Chris. We got about 30 seconds left, and I want to give both of you at least 15 seconds to leave our...
One word, perseverance.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
Okay.
Okay.
Sharaya?
Just keep trying. I agree with Chris. Your resume is not everything. You do have to put boots on the ground. You have to call these people. You have to get out here and make yourself known. Make them see you. Make yourself stand out. So definitely don't give up and continue to keep trying. You have to get out there, and sometimes you have to humble yourself and take a job that you didn't necessarily want to, or doesn't necessarily make as much as you want to, but you have to start somewhere. So
thank you so much. Thank you, Sharaya Ray, for being with us today. Thank you, Smitty. And thank you, Chris. And we'll be right back right after this.
Hi, I'm Claude McKnight of Group Take 6, and you're listening to Another View, Fridays at noon at WHRV 89.5 FM.
Just a reminder that next Saturday, October 24th, is our Veterans Town Hall, when we will be joined by veterans and experts to discuss the challenges that veterans face while connecting them with services to aid in their transition into civilian life. The town hall will be taped before a live studio audience and will air on WHRO-TV in two parts, the first on December 7th at 9 p.m. and the second, December 14th, also at 9 p.m. And over at my alma mater, Norfolk State University, there is a photo exhibit underway right now. It's called NHU, Its People, Community and Experiences Through the Lens of Dr. Grady James. That has already begun. It will go now through October 30th. There is an opening reception tonight from 6 until 9 p.m. at the James Wise Gallery in the Ham Fine Arts Building at Norfolk State University. Well, next week, Barbara will be back with Another View on Health co-host, cardiologist Dr. Keith Newby. That is our show for today. Thank you for spending your noonday hour with us. For producer Danny Epperson, who so graciously filled in for me, audio engineer Victor Bowen, and Jessica Dortch, who answered our phones. I'm Lisa Godley. Please make an appointment to be here next week, and we'll get together again for Another View.